These are my top 10 relationship communication tips, and we're going to start at number 10. Allow disagreement. Most arguments boil down to the problem that I can't allow my partner to disagree with me and I can't allow my partner to disapprove of me. This is because I have ego fragility. If I'm fragile, it's not okay with me if she disapproves of me. And if I'm fragile, it's not okay with me if she disagrees with me. So I put all this effort into trying to control her, to try to get her agreement and her approval. The better way to handle things is to allow her to disagree and disapprove and figure out what kind of a person do I want to be and what am I going to do about that. And because I care about her, I'm going to be interested in her feedback, but I'm never going to make her the person who gets to decide whether I'm good enough. This is not the default way we're programmed. The default way we're programmed is that I need to seek approval and agreement from someone else, not from myself, from someone else, usually my partner. So if I want to be able to fix this, I have to do the work of looking in the mirror at the end of the day and saying, what kind of person do I want to be? What's the next step on my path? And am I going to be the one who decides whether I'm good enough or not? Number 9 is take out the screw you. If I'm going to say something to my wife, I first need to pause, take a deep breath, calm down, and figure out, is there a screw you embedded in this message? So I could say, I want you to do this thing, or I don't want you to do this thing. But if I'm angry, I'm going to be like, I want you to do this thing and screw you, by the way, because that's how I feel about her at the moment. So if I'm going to deliver that message, she's going to get the screw you part, and whatever it is I was really trying to say is not really going to make much of a difference. So if I really want to have a positive impact, I need to take out the screw you first, calm myself down, and then deliver just the message that I really wanted to deliver. This also works in the reverse. So if my wife is talking to me and she's angry and she has embedded a screw you in her message, I can do the same work of extracting the screw you out of the message, figuring out what is the gist, what's the central point of what she was trying to say, and can I take that in without paying too much attention to the screw you. Obviously, her work is to take out the screw you first, but if she doesn't do that, I can do it for her. In either case, I'm going to be better off for taking out the screw you and dealing with the central message, focusing on the most important thing that needs to be said in the moment. So number 9 is take out the screw you. Number 8, don't talk about your feelings. Feelings change all the time. They change with the moon, they change with the weather, they change with the sunrise. They come and they go. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. And my feelings are not my partner's responsibility. So if I'm talking to my partner about my feelings, it's super tempting for me to try to imagine that somehow she needs to fix what I feel, or she's responsible for what I feel, which is just not true. In reality, as an adult, I'm always responsible for taking care of my own feelings. So it's much wiser for me to talk to my partner about her behavior. If I want her to change something, I should just do the work of figuring out, wait a second, I feel really bad. I wonder if there's something I would like my partner to do differently. And I would just talk to her about what I want her to do differently instead of talking to her about how I feel. Number 7. Confront yourself first. This means that before I approach my wife to talk to her about a relationship, I'm going to ask myself a couple of questions. The first question is, does this come from the best in me? So there's a really good part of me. There's a part of me that cares a lot about my wife. There's a part of me that really wants to have a good marriage. There's also a part of me that kind of likes to make people feel bad and do mean things and be a little selfish. So if I'm going to go talk to my wife, I need to ask myself first, does this come from the best in me? I want to bring the best of myself to my wife, not the worst. If I bring my worst part to my wife, it's going to inspire her to come up with her worst self, and then we're going to spiral into a bad pattern. Before I initiate a relationship conversation, I need to calm myself down, think through what it is I want to say, what I hope to accomplish, and just ask myself, does this come from the best in me? If it's not from the best in me, then I need to pause, calm down, do some writing, do some journaling, talk to somebody, get some advice, wait until I can bring the best of me to my wife. And that's including if I have something really difficult to say. If I need to confront my wife about something, that's fine, as long as I confront myself first, ask myself first, am I trying to hurt her feelings? Am I trying to make her feel bad? Am I trying to control her? Am I trying to get her to make me feel better? Am I trying to put a responsibility on her that should really be mine? Am I asking her to do something that I'm not willing to do? Am I pretending that I'm better than her? All these questions are helpful for me to confront myself first before I go and confront my wife. And what I'm not saying here, I'm not saying don't confront your partner. I'm saying confront yourself first and then think about whether you still need to go confront your partner. Number 6, turn your complaints into requests. A complaint is about the past. It's full of negative energy. It's kind of whiny, and it doesn't help you get what you want. A request is about the future. It's full of positive energy, and it's focused on, this is what I want you to do. So we usually start out by complaining. This is what you always do. You never do this. You're not good enough. I don't like you, etc., etc. That will never get me what I want in my relationship. What might help is if I can do the work to say, okay, what could my partner do differently in the future that might make things better for me? And I can turn that into a request. And then I'm gonna reach into myself and say, can I express this request in a friendly way? So I need to settle myself down and say, can I get to a place where I actually care about my partner, where I want the best for my partner, where I want my partner to thrive? I want us to be happy together. I'm going to bring the best of me to my partner, and then I'm going to make this request. I would like you to, or I want you to, or I would prefer that you do something. That's how you turn your complaint into a request. Number 5, share your perception. Your perception is the way you see the world, and especially the way you see your partner. So this is part of what's called revealing your mind to your partner. You have a certain idea in your head about who your partner is and how they behave and how they treat you and even how they feel about you and what they think about you. So share that. Your perception is, this is what I see you doing every day. It could be something like, I love the way you put everything down when I come into a room and you get up and you give me a big hug, and it just makes it very clear to me that you really care about me. Now, if your relationship isn't doing so hot, that's probably not going to be what you're going to say. You might say something like, I want you to care about me a lot more than you really do care about me. Or it might be something like, I noticed that your friends are always a higher priority to you than I am. Or it could be something like, the last few times we talked, it ended with you yelling at me. Or the last few times we talked, it ended with you storming out and leaving the room. Those are all valid things because that's an observation. I'm saying, this is how I see you. What I'm not doing is I'm not trying to pound you down. I'm not trying to make you look bad. I'm not trying to pretend that I'm somehow better than you. I'm just saying, this is how I see you. The other thing I'm not doing is I'm not trying to convince you that my perception is right and your perception is wrong. I'm just saying, this is my perception of you. I realize that it's probably different than your perception of yourself, but this really is how I see you. So share your perception, including your perception of your partner. Number 4, share your preference. Preference is so powerful because nobody else in the world gets to define what I want. My preference is always mine to define. So a trap I see couples fall into is, instead of saying, I want you to do this thing, they say you should do this thing, or it would be better if you did this thing, or if you were a good partner, you'd do this thing. Or some people even say, God wants you to do this thing, or, society believes you should do this thing, or if you are normal, you do this thing. So what they're doing is they're reaching outside and they're saying, this external authority is speaking for me. I'm not really expressing my own preference. I'm just reminding you that the right thing to do is X. The problem with that is that if I don't share my preference, then everything's up for debate. If I tell you what I want, that's not up for debate because I get to determine what I want and what I don't want. As soon as I start framing it as something other than just, this is what I want, now you get a say in whether I want it or not. But all I have to say is, I prefer that you not yell at me. That's the end of the story because my preference is that you not yell at me. It's not about whether it's right or wrong to yell, whether you yell more than me, whether it's your fault or my fault that you yell. None of that matters. It's just, I prefer that you not yell at me. Even better might be, please don't talk to me that way. So that's even broader because we're not even going to define what way you're talking to me. I'm just going to say, please don't talk to me that way. My preference is that you talk to me differently. I could also say something like, I prefer you use a kinder tone with me. Now, tones can always get kinder and they can always get less kind, but you don't get to define what my preference is about what kind of tone you use. It's just my preference. The other thing about stating a preference is that as soon as I acknowledge it to be just my preference, I'm also acknowledging that you're the one who gets to choose. So it's my preference and it's your choice. You get to choose how you act and I get to choose how I prefer you act. And those are two different things. So one of the reasons we generally avoid stating preference is when I state a preference, I'm acknowledging the fact that it's my preference, but it's not my choice. Learning to clearly state your preference is one of the most powerful things you can do to improve communication in your relationship. Number 3, don't defend yourself. When you defend yourself towards your partner, what you're doing is you're making it seem like your partner is the one who determines whether or not you're good enough. Your partner is the one who determines whether your ideas are valid. Your partner is the one who determines whether your preferences are valid, whether your perception is valid. None of that is true, but every time you defend yourself, you're making it seem like it is. So here's what you do instead of defending yourself. You say, hey, I prefer that you do things this way. And then your partner says, oh, I don't want to do that. You don't have to defend yourself, because if you defend yourself, you make it seem like your partner gets to choose whether your preference is good enough. And so if I express, this is what I see, this is what I want, and my partner disagrees, now we're clear on where we stand. And that's the purpose of communication, is to say, this is how I see the world, this is what's in my mind. So when I'm communicating in my relationship, if there's any kind of conflict, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to reveal my mind to my partner clearly and kindly. So I want to be very clear about, this is what I think, this is what I want. And I want to let my partner also do the same. And now we've defined, this is where we stand. The solution to solving these problems is not really a communication problem. It's a problem of developing the capacity for caring about each other. If I want to have a successful relationship, I have to care a lot about my wife, and she has to care a lot about me. And that's different than communication. So sometimes we try to use communication to solve problems that are actually about caring and personal growth and behavior. One of the things you can do to improve communication is don't try to solve a behavior problem with communication, because it doesn't work. So don't defend yourself, because when you defend yourself, it makes it seem like your partner is the one who determines whether you're good enough. Number 2, use less words. The most powerful way to express any idea is to express it in the fewest words possible. If I say something in 40 words when it could have been said in 4 words, I just diluted my message by 10 times. The most powerful way for me to communicate with my partner is to think ahead of time of what I want to say, figure out how to say it, and then be quiet. If I say what I want, and then I start explaining it or justifying it or saying it again or repeating it, I'm making the message less powerful. I'm making it seem like I don't really know what I want, or I don't really know what I see. If I can calm myself down, maybe write down what I want to say beforehand, then I can just say it. And once I've said it, I don't have to say it again. There's a part of my brain that always thinks that if I just say it one more time in a slightly different way, my partner is going to suddenly agree with me. That's not true. If your partner disagrees, then they're probably going to disagree for a while, and saying the same thing in a slightly different way or with slightly higher emotionality is definitely not going to change their mind. So say the one thing you need to say it once, and then be quiet. Allow your partner to disagree. Follow the rest of these rules. When you say less words, the words you say are more powerful. Number 1, slow down. Everything we just talked about is only possible if I slow myself down enough to think before I talk. If I respond immediately to what my wife just said, I don't give my brain enough time to catch up with my mouth before my mouth starts talking. So the key to relationship communication, the single most important key, the one that matters more than everything else, is slow down enough to do the other things. Slow down enough to think. Slow down enough to confront yourself. Slow down enough to share your preference and your perception. Slow down enough to do all of these things. Take a breath, take a break. Get a glass of water, do some jumping jacks, do anything other than immediately respond to what your partner just said. Because if you jump in and respond immediately, I guarantee that you are not saying the most effective thing you could have said. I don't know anyone who can bring their best self to a relationship conflict if they're running at full speed. The only way to have better relationship communication is to slow yourself down so that you can do all these things and bring your best self to your relationship. That is all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you soon.